Welcome, amazing and beautiful people. This is your coach AF, and this is Friday, March the 18th. How are you doing today? Did you had a great week? You too? I'm so pleased to be before you to explore some kind of novelty, or as Terence McKenna used to say, is it archaic revival, or it's really a novelty that exists before or not? So what is MetaScrum? What is radical management or radical agility is this is completely some sort of new challenge from great conversation with high potential individual, real coach and agile and lean and everything. So we're going to explore this. This is a total empirical exploration. I don't know it all, and I will invite you in the comment below to correct me constructively if you get that knowledge of the Scrum or the MetaScrum. What is a MetaScrum? Enterprise level, scale, the real scale level and everything. But really, I got inspired to do this. And yes, I mentioned about, the Great Reset. So why are we talking about the Great Reset? And this episode is because I got a beer with someone recently, and he was telling me, so you're a Scrum guy and you are working in Scrum. So you part of these type of people that will help iteratively pushing the agenda of the Great Economic Reset. Really? We have to talk about values and principles that create patterns. Everything could be used for good and evil, but what is good and evil? So stay there after this amazing intro. We're going to talk about MetaScrum, rapid development, iteration, empirical process. Is it helping or it's against? What is this? Do we put politics? It's not politics. So stay there. Yes, really. I was like, we did that great conversation. A lot of people, well, sometimes I start explaining the Scrum system. Yes, beautiful people. Scrum system. This is not necessarily a framework, because if you understand Scrum with understanding substantion, you should be able to help your client, to help your team, and to help individual foster a smarter way and create a specific frameworks inspired by the Scrum system. So when I explain the Scrum system, I go, of course, with the empirical process control and the way that, contrary to the classical project management cycle, we are focusing our effort into the customer experience, the user experience, and of course, bringing all stakeholders, which is the people who do the work and the people who ask or design the work, to collaborate together, and then of course including the user and the customer. So he needs empirism, and he needs also the what we call incremental iteration of the product that we'd like to deliver. So of course it came from the Toyotism of the manufacturing system. So when I explain the fact that it's iteratively, and nowadays with what happened in the last 2 years, so the guy should have, hold on a second, are you really talking to me? So it's an iteration. So I understand for business, I understand for software development, I understand for product development, but could people and sociology and social engineering, could the technocrat could actually inspire themselves from that system to bring us slowly but surely into digital identity, for instance, to control even more the with a central planning and everything. And these ideas within the white paper and the book from Klaus Schwab's about the great reset, the great economic reset. He started with a great economic reset, but now all of a sudden it's a great reset. We like to take advantage of this crisis that we seems to be with tiptoes again, so everything. And when we hear some politician talking about, we are agile and managing the restriction and the lifting of these things, really, but actually there's nothing agile there, because I remind you that agile is make people awesome, make people beautiful. Nobody in the last 2 years necessarily were having this application of that value. It's also learn and then inspect, adapt, and learn rapidly. I don't think we did learn that much. It was mostly a war of information instead, and a polarization of ideas. So there was nothing agile there. And also produce continuously values. Actually, I saw more devaluation, and the side effect on the economy, on the sociology, on the well-being of everyone, health, mental health, and everything. Well, it's I think the last 2 years, most of it were on hold. Most of us were divided physically, our safety, our psychological, and everything safety was there. So I kind of answer that person at the bar. Well, it could be. Let's be objective here. I'm here with an objective reality. I'm not here to please anyone. I'm not here to take a side or whatever. It's the old of agile agnostic as a consultant also. So please read in between the line and try to be with an objective reality perspective here. So I'm not saying that the Scrum system is or is not used to help any project that would like to implement the Great Reset. But it could. Unfortunately, yes, it could. Because you could see the Scrum system, or if you'd like, Kanban, Kaizen. They say Kaizen. A Japanese explain us that Kai means change, and Zen, it's for the better. So that's why they specify Kaizen. But again, how do you define better? I always love the quote from the Persona and the great novel of Margaret Atwood, The Handmaid's Tales. It was Commander Frederick who said to June, his kind of baby mother slave, when she asked him, you did the revolution and you implement this system. It's not necessarily better for everyone. And then he replied, well, in a revolution, obviously, better for some could mean worse for others. So you see, so it's the good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil. It's a perspective, because again, I remind you, everything is perspective. I should have my t-shirt that's showing this, but when everything is perspective, you could use a tool to do bad and you could use a tool to do good, and then you have to define the good. And so that's why in the practical world of business agility, of consultancy, and business transformation, digital transformation, or that include agile and lean ways to help you do it, we are talking about the definition of them. A great coach, a great facilitator of agile, when he starts with a team and a client, should always ask that question: what is your definition of done? And if you don't have one, let me work with you to create this. Because in the definition of done, we could start with the golden circle, depending on how mature the organization or the team is, or the people who are actually leading that change is. So we have to clarify it right on the spot. What is your definition of done? If you don't have one, let's do it for you. So, and then after, by defining the done, which means no more work done, and we are kind of satisfied with what we push into the market, if we talked about business, and then it will, of course, it will be a continuous growing and improvement of both the product, the process, and the interaction between the stakeholders. So that's the thing. It will never be finished anymore, because everything is evolving. And again, evolving, it's a lot more interesting and smarter than transformation, because a transformation, again, You try to be on the side of project mindset. And if it's a project mindset, you're going to have a beginning and the end. And what do we say in nowadays economy and nowadays interaction in society with the technology, with the human behavior that have to be into kind of an acceptance. And of course, the definition I've done is always follow with acceptance criteria. And when you define these, you define what is good for your business, for your team, for your product, for your market, for your culture. So it's good for you. Now, is it tailor and adapt for another market, for another customer segment, for another team within your organization? Now, you get to do a continuous kind of design and discovery again to make sure that it's not a one-size-fits-all. So you see, I'm explaining you this because this is key important element. And a lot of my subscribers also ask me questions in private or in emails. And in the comment below, you could still continue to please comment below if I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong, give me a post down, but explain me why below so we could have a conversation. And within that conversation, I could improve myself. Maybe I could see your side of the table because, again, perspective, it's important. So now, how do I link the Scrum system that could evolve into a MetaScrum? Among other teams, MetaScrum it's meta again. It's over or next. It's kind of a next level. So meta from the Greek root could mean next level. And as you know, I'm writing a book right now about next level agility. Not to be fancy or to reinvent Agile. No, I'm doing it in a mood, in a motto of continuous improvement. And I think we are due to have this next level of interaction, especially in the consulting world. And this is why in that book, I'm proposing a program and a system that include, among other things, a great new tool that I'm developing, that I'm even trying with some clients for the last year, called the CAAS. It's Coaching and Consulting Agility as a Service. And guys, yes, I trademark it. It's my little baby. So before using it, you better contact me because maybe you could create something. I trademark it because I'm in business. I'm an entrepreneur first too. So I don't mind to share it. I don't mind that we collaborate about it. But please give it to Agile Lounge for Business Agility as the first co-creator, because of course I will put it more in a spirit of open source and having feedback of other people, but strong people, high potential people that like to develop the Scrum system, uncovering new ways and continuous design, continuous improvement, and the continuity of everything, because it will never be finished. We're gonna learn everything. Some things people will change their mind, and that's okay, as long as we evolve over transformation. And as you know me, I got two background. One in political science, because back in the day when I was young, I wanted to be collaborating for the common good. That was my utopia. My utopia was, let's go work for and with the government to actually make real change in the society. That was my thinking. After 4 years of political science, I didn't go into a master to continue this, what we call, I don't know exactly, it's a National School of Public Administrations for the Common Good. So now I BFERC, and one of my passion, and if I had money, I will have done that. But now, as an entrepreneur, I kind of get money, and I decide to do another bachelor in physics, because now I was dreaming again, another utopia, to become an astrophysicist, a cosmologist, to explore and study the deep of the space, more than just doing astronomy, which is looking at the stars and galaxy and complex. Me, I wanted to go and discover new cluster, all the universe form and everything. So, and of course, I was making money already with my businesses, and I didn't have the great achievement and you know, my result, especially in the bachelor, and then when I start the master, it was too horrible. At some point, this is when I understand what a lot of you on LinkedIn are talking about with your whatever life coach or what have you. So this is when I was starting my master in astrophysics, working full time, having family matters and everything, and I said, like, You cannot do everything. And an entrepreneur should learn, and that was a failure actually. That was a fuck up moment for me. And I decided at some point, like I said, either you perform in one thing, because I'm not a jack of all trades. Yes, I'm diverse. I'm a real diverse person on all aspects. And I think this is important. And this is why I embrace the agnostic kind of strategic, holistic vision. And I will focus. Apparently, I made a mistake like Daniel Villeneuve, but I'm sure my English is way better than Daniel Villeneuve. Please tell me in a comment below. And I welcome Twitter today and YouTube on this live for March 18. Rumble, thank you so much. 3 new subscribers on Rumble. And you see, I made it on purpose. I was talking about focusing on one thing. Be good at one thing. And when you achieve it, you could start something else. But you could not do a master in astrophysics and think that you will be a great publisher, a great researcher, and that should be 100% of your time. And managing 3 businesses, having duplex and triplex, and taking care of the family and everything. Of course, this is the first lesson is there's no such things as work-life balance. When you're at this level, you just have to make sure that you put intention and attention to people around you, because it's people first. It's the true agility, even for personal agility. And then you go slowly. And but again, when you are on your X, and I really discover with my customer experience designing and Scrum mastering, and building business and consultancy and everything. So that was my X. And I love to see people fulfilled. More I see people fulfilled, more I am fulfilled. And when you are fulfilled, you're happy. So you have to be master of one thing at 80% of your your focus point time. And the rest, 20%, it's to ease your brain and be an entire being. So this is exactly my authenticity and everything. And yes, I do connect the dot. And yes, I've got this program of Their Real Agile, for that motto of authenticity and daring to talk about subject that most of you Agile coach out there, you don't want to do because I don't know. It's your problem. It's not mine. And I don't have a problem when I see haters, because haters gonna hate, come into my inbox because apparently they have time to lose, telling me that blah blah blah. I'm boring. I'm boring, really? I'm almost 500 on YouTube. Last year at this moment, I was only 195. So 500, more and more interaction. I receive Bitcoins. By the way, thank you for Adriana to have reserved your Scrum beer and for your tips on top of it. Thank you to Joey for his tips and also reserving. And by the way, we have 3 places left for next Thursday in-person event in downtown Montreal, Canada. So act fast this weekend. The link will be in the description below or in the pinned comment of the YouTube and Rumble video. So do it, guys. Join us. Okay. 5:30 to 6:30 is going to be a live stream live from the Devil Resto Bar in Stanley Streets. And from 5:30, I'm going to shut down the live streams of the podcast. And the podcast will be amazing because we are going to talk about the age of imposition, specifically in consulting Agile, implementing in Agile, and what have you, and the tyranny of the frameworks. And speaking of tyranny of the framework, let me give you one of the proposition of the dynamic of a MetaScrum. I found it on the Scrum at Scale website, and all the link will be in the pinned comment. So I'm attributing this, what I'm going to read you right now, probably owned by Jeff Shutterland and all from the Scrum at Scale, because it's one of his company. So this is probably the most recent and updated definition of MetaScrum, and I would like to bring you to one of the original that I found in my research. And then after, I will have defined MetaScrum and Radical Agility. I'm going to get back to what I told you in my intro. Sorry about that. To what I told you in my intro. Is the Great Reset evil or good? Is Scrum could be used to implement these things? And when a politician say, oh, we are agile, do they really mean it? or they don't know what the F they talked about and everything. Sorry about this. I could confirm that back in Montreal, it's definitely spring, because this is reaction to probably have a big, huge park in front of my condominium, and I feel the allergy already. It's been like, yeah, so I think the pollen is kicking out. So sorry about this, guys. This is not what you think it is. It's allergy that make me sneezing like this. Okay, so we gotta connect the dot together. Are you with me? So come with me. At the executive MetaScrum, the dynamic of group of leaders set the organizational vision and the strategic priorities, aligning all of the teams around common goals, sorry. Not it's goals. In order to be effective, the chief product owner, or CPO, facilitates, and so you see the chief product owner, he is the facilitator because he facilitates. And each team's product owner or proxy must attend. This event, so according to Scrum at Scale, co-founded by Jeff Sutherland, it seems that it's an event, the executive MetaScrum within MetaScrum. So executive MetaScrum is the event. So this event occurs as often as needed, at least once per sprint, to ensure an aligned backlog within the Scrum of Scrums. Optimally, this group of leaders operate as a Scrum team. I like that. And I used to do this even as a consultant, gathering the leaders from the PMO office, the IT delivery towers, and the design and the business unit. So all leadership level and also the middle management, that we were acting once a month into an executive event like this. They call it executive MetaScrum. I was only calling it whatever, something like, it was probably, we had a planning session and we had a retrospective. That's it at this level. And we were having rules based on Scrum. And this and that was great because every month we meet 2 hours, one for the planning, one for the retrospective, to make sure that everything about the implementation of the agile culture within the culture of the enterprise and everything was strictly followed. And there was technical element with the middle manager after that we did. So, it's different terms, different topology, but always the same aiming, the same goal of clarity, transparency, communication, interaction. So that's really key important. So if you'd like to introduce an executive kind of meeting, time is very, very important for them. The ROTI, it's as, so return on time invest, is as much important than the money they will get out of any initiative. So that's why you have to operate that kind of meeting as a Scrum team. And they have to eat their dog food themselves to understand what they ask to their people that are working with them. So, and in the case of larger implementation of Agile Scrum, where there are multiple Scrum of Scrums, there may be multiple MetaScrums which have their strategic backlog. It's a strategic backlog at this level. It's like those SFA people, they call it LPM, but that's another story. I prefer that model. It's clear, straight to the point. Create and prioritize at an executive MetaScrum event. So that's one right here. And now maybe, I don't really like to share my screen, but I know there's out there people commenting that, oh, we love it when you could share your screen. So now let's go, this user experience of Melon. I'm so tired, and probably now with Apple, I'm sorry guys, it's live. And I'm sick and tired of this. When we say agile, it's people first. Definitely right now, the mix of Apple with the recent update that I did for security, apparently Chrome, but because I'm using Chrome with the MONTANT app embedded into it, I already granted the authorization. You see, because I'm doing it live right now. Because I wanted to share my screen, and I was dotting it, and now I was prompted with pop-up screen of, you have to authorize Google Chrome, and then whoops, all of a sudden you have to authorize MONTANT app, and when I go into security and confidentiality in my Apple, it's there, motherfucker. So what's the problem? It's very like I really sorry about this, but at some point it should not be, especially with a super user like me, it should not be something like that give me pain. So guys, I don't know who is responsible. Is it the upgrade that I did on my machine from Apple with the new security key, or it's Google with Chrome and MONTANT, whatever? No more comment on it. I might switch next year for another one with better capability at a lower cost. That's my review so far right now. And it's nothing about the people. They're great. They help me. They try to help me. And their integration, it's a little bit too slow. So that's another thing. When we talked about velocity, that's another thing. So what in my research for MetaScrum for the last couple of months, so do we see my screen now? Yes, we do. All right. All right, guys. So MetaScrum here, as you see, the National Advisory Committee for Aeronautic and session in Washington to discuss plans to place America foremost in the development of aviation. So I don't remember what the date is this, but their definition of MetaScrum, that I will again put the link in the pinned comment for you to discover, was actually based on the value stream systems and the open space technology again. It's all about having Scrum teams, all right, that are in place, but the direction or the leadership, because now this is old, so they have like a whole language. So especially for large scale, such as the NASA or any other organization that have complexity, that you try to simplify, especially in the process level, because you have enough to do R&D and everything. So, that's an interesting read. It's a paper, like this is date 2005 from the IEEE Press for the proceeding of Agile Development Conference in 2005. But the meeting that we're talking about is GPN. No, there's no date. Okay, it's public domain. But I think it was 1959 when they start implementing this MetaScrum in 1959 at NASA, and was based on the value stream systems of developing a product or complex enterprise scale type of organization with substantion. So you see, I don't know if I click here, do we see it? Yes, we do. So, it's all about management, other stakeholders that influence the POs and everything. So if I come back to my conversation with that person who asked me, also, the way you explain the system Scrum, does that mean that the people at the World Economic Forum or other organizations that are working right now on social engineering, yes, that's the proper name, could they use Scrum to make it iteratively? Because we were, of course, talking about politics that night, and he asked me a lot of questions. I said, like, they could, yes, inspire themselves to build any project, any social engineering project, any technocratic project, anything about this kind of revolution. This is not an evolution. Evolution is something for the greater good. Revolution is just to change for change. Again, transform for transform. And I get back to you to my favorite quote in the book of Margaret Atwood. Better could mean worse for others. Okay, so have it in mind. So the answer is yes. And that could be used So when you see the title of this today's live, it's a kind of a brainstorm. It's a live stream brainstorm on the subject. I still have to expand on it, but it was inspired by that conversation, and I said, like, at some point, yes, because when you take advantage of a crisis such as the one we had since March 2020, and you push implementation of technology, of tools and stuff, and they're a real link between what they experiment with this, what I call a vaccination campaign, with implementing green passes in Israel and Europe and here that they call the Vax Pass and everything, with also many projects of digital identity. That is a proposition that emerged in about 2006, 2007 at the Davos conference that year. And they just don't know how to implement this digital identity. So of course, there's an empirical process here. They say, like, okay, so there's an opportunity here in the crisis, and why don't we try it? And then they saw that people buy into it because they use fear instead of love. So that's the problem. Because when it's on invitation, when it's voluntary, and you let people choose, that's the authenticity of the experience of our living and togetherness. That's my motto. Thank you for the like, by the way, and you could do it like that person if you'd like, to encourage me beating the algorithm actually so smash the like button if you like it, share it with someone to inspire them with another ways of talking about Scrum and business agility and Agile. And I know 75% of you are passing, watching my live, or even after the live, because I saw on the weekend the numbers go up too. Saturday, Sunday, especially if it's not a good weather or wherever you're from, because right now it's mostly Northern Europe, United States, and India. So Shukrawi. So subscribe and hit the bell every Friday at noon Eastern time. I'm here with you to exchange with you, and that's great to see my numbers coming up, the donation I receive. But please, I will prefer that you have more interaction on these Friday Live, having a coffee or a beer or a glass of wine with me, and let's exchange. So that's why once a month we have the Ask Me Anything. Most of the people still send me by Telegram or Twitter or in my mailbox their questions, but it will be fun if you could join me live at one point, and we could have a great Agile conversation like we're going to have next Thursday, again, the 24th. So be there right here on this channel of YouTube at 5:30 p.m. East. We're going to be live talking about the age of imposition and what we could do as real Agile people to make it not an imposition, but inviting people. Exactly what I was talking about now. I think I'm not against or for the Great Reset. I a lot of ideas, but because I read the book, I read two of the book about this. I read like the proposal, but a lot of people freaked out. But it's again a question of perspective. Me, I'm not freaking out as long as whatever you do with these kind of social engineering or transforming the society, I think we always should have. I'm not saying like I'm not necessarily believing in free will, but I'm believing in free choice, and to make a choice independently of any pressure or the use of fear or manipulation. That is, in my sense, it's rigging the game, and so in that sense, you could call me out as a libertarian. I mean, our birthright is to be free, and I'm not coming here to impose my perspective on others, and I don't want others to impose their perspective onto me. So it's reciprocity. When my mother taught me about accept the others and respect the other, I always replied to her, but well, I'll do it reciprocally. And she said, no, you should not expect anything in return. I said, like, excuse me, mother, but if people don't accept who I am, the way I show up into this world, I don't see why I will give them back this same respect, because respect is not something you deserve. It's something by your action, by your behavior, by your interaction with others, you will have an exchange. So for me, reciprocity, the mirror thing, it's very important. If you attack me, I will defend myself, but I will never attack you. So see, physical security and safety, intellectual security, it's all about reciprocity, and we should reciprocate, not vengeance. I mean, like, but build your respect. Show me that you deserve my attention and my respect, and I will do the same to you. Okay, so that's my motto. So again, about the choice, freedom of choice, like the imposition of things, this dark age of imposition we are in right now, it's unacceptable for me, because to be clear, and some of my teacher in astrophysics taught me that too. If your ego is too big and you think you know everything and you think you know something, so like for right now, and this carpe diem, carpe diem again, it's the seize the moment. Excuse me, but we don't know shit. I cannot be affirmative about exactly where this consciousness that some call a spirit or a soul, where was that before I incarnated into this body? Do I embody my body to make this experience on Earth? And then a lot of people fear death because they don't know. But you should fear where you're from. And then after that is just speculation, spirituality. You could believe in Jesus Christ. You could believe in a God that we don't say the name. We could believe in anything from the Hinduist, the Buddhist. It's up to you. It's up to you. The same with the interaction in society. Are we marching towards a world government? Maybe. I think for me, since 1947, with the Bretton Woods on the economy and the international institutions that have been put in place, such as the UN and other, the OMC and everything, it looks to me like a global governance, okay, a mondial gobernamente. So with the specific of the region. So do they want it more central plan? Maybe. Of course, there are family and clans that want to develop it. And yes, they use, without naming it, the kind of the iterative process to do this, because they know if they do it too quickly, because we experiment in the last 2 centuries, they experiment with all front war, direct revolution, and the pushback is greater. So, and of course, I've always been critical of this because, again, my background in political science, 4 years of studying different systems of organizing the society, of managing and govern the society and the economy. And then I end up in pure science of physics and astrophysics. And I was doing in that customer experience integration, design, becoming a Scrum Master with high-level engineering team, not software developer. I was like, and then. So, of course, I did connect to that because there's always a common sense of all of these interaction that, again, we call the subsumption of things. You have to subsume everything to a greater portrait and be very specific to something that you'd like to achieve at the right moment. And yes, I was critical sometimes because I was saying like, oh, so Agile and Enterprise for that specific team, or with the MetaScrum or the Scrum Scale or Enterprise Scrum, that you do it. So of course you change the way people work, you change the way you engage people, and it's also a behavioral effect. So what if we scale it to the civil or to the governance or to the society? They could do it too. And I think especially politicians, they are in a sprint mode. They have 4 to 5 years mandate. So maybe they have a sprint goal and we don't even know that. It's not a product goal. I know the new Scrum guy talked about product goal, but the sprint goal is more precise because it could be a solution, it could be a services, it could be policy, it could be this digital identity, it could be a new way of governing, a new way of managing the city, managing everything. So for me, I mean, we can't stop progress, but we could influence it, and we could make sure that we are respected in our freedom of choice and autonomy. So for me, basically is and clarity. And the last 2 years, we have to admit there was no clarification, but then one of the propositions to make things clearer is centralization. No, it should be decentralized. I have to have a diversity, the DNI people out there, DNI people, diversity and inclusion. Where the fuck are you to help us at this level of making sure that we use more love and that freedom of choice with diversity, to have a real diversity of, if I'm not happy here with the policy, I'm not just talking about the restriction, but anything, if I don't like a central plan, government or society, can I go into a more freer, decentralized society and let me go? Because right now, March 18, most of the Canadian citizens that have practiced and applied their free choice for their own health care are prevented to go out of the country, and are even prevented, because we have a large country, we are the second biggest country after Russia, they cannot even publicly travel within plane, trains, and boat, whatever. So this is unacceptable, because it's an infringement into our freedom of choice, conscious, and movement. And again, if I don't like it here, let me go somewhere else. So it's going to be a win-win situation. You won't have these citizens that you find deplorable, and me, I will be in a community where I feel better and I'm accepted and included. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. Like, the DNI for me right now, when I see people in organizations, especially here in Canada, it's a full-on hypocrisy. Okay, I'm telling you right in your face, HR people, you don't get it. Because if you're real, you will be very true about diversity and inclusion at all level, like we do in agility. I try to propose something now at the governance level of the organization of our society, sociologically speaking, that influence and form policy and politics. And again, those guys still, whatever, it's a plutocracy you'd like to call it, or oligarchy, that's kind of true, but they still have 4 years with those actors, with those stakeholders, that they have a role, maybe in a Scrum team that we call a political party, and they move on into a 4 or 5 year sprint to achieve something, and then the next team take on, and they will have maybe another type of perspective, but still into the goal, because the product owner somewhere, and I'm not saying that the WEF, which is the World Economic Forum, is the product owner. It's one of the product owner who tries to propose backlog refinement of element to push transformation of the society as a whole. So of course there is a lot of empirical process control and tiptoe of iteration, and MVS in that case, which is the most valuable solution proposed that we implement, and we could speed up with a kind of a velocity if we have a crisis such as a terrorism attack or a pandemic or what have you. So the Great Reset, you have pushback, you have so you could see what's going on right now in the last 2 years, and that will continue for the next decade, I'm telling you, because again, the sprint goal or the release goal of 2030, 2033, it's about that. So for me, again, of course, I have taken side, and the side that I took is the side of love, is the side of freedom of choice. So the only thing that we'll probably fight for will be that. That will be that whether the definition of done will be into my community. My say will not be a vote every 4 years. It will not be, no. It will be, let me choose where to live and where to experience this life, professionally and personally, but for me it's the entire being. And let me go. Get out my way. Okay? There's a say, if you can change something, just join them, but and or beat them, join them. But I don't want to beat them, and I don't want to join them. I want to make my own choice for what I think is good for me. I would like to be with people who could have political and strategic discourse and creating together a definition of done for us and apply it and change it if we have new information. So, something real, democratic, and interactive, better than what we have right now and every aspect. And then after, is it good or bad? Well, we'll define it with our definition. Okay, it will be good for us because we'll be more fulfilled and happier with some of these shared value and principle we have. So you see, when they did the manifesto in 2001 and they came up with those 4 values, there were 17 consultants with different ID, different systems, different frameworks, sort of, and they come together and they said like, let's have this kind of value and principle that we could agree on, and from these, let's create techniques and patterns to apply in enterprise and projects and to transform project to product development instead and everything. So you see, for me, that's the real agility. That's keep it simple, like Jim I. Smith used to say, right? And it's nothing complex or necessarily evil with the Great Reset. To tell you the truth, one of the things that freaked out people is you will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, that's a conversation that I used to have with my uncle and a great friend of mine, that they will be if they were still alive, 81, 82 years old right now. And so back in the day, I was probably like 30 years ago, or even like I was young, and they were talking like the thing I told you about, like nobody knows where we were before embodied this body, and nobody knows where we go after. Okay, so bullshit. If you tell me your God stuff or your religious stuff or your spiritual stuff or your New Age stuff, or I don't care. Nobody knows for sure. There's no certainty. Okay, so let it be. You could have values and principles to rule over yourself by yourself, but don't again impose it to others. Okay. Nobody knows. Not me, not you. Nobody knows. Nobody fucking knows where we're from and where we go. But we know we are here right now. Is it a simulation? Is it real? Is it fake? Are we? Everything is possible for me. Unfortunately, my poster is blocked by my whiteboard. But I've got the Fox Mulder poster. I want to believe. Yes, I would love to believe. I would love maybe to be like Cypher in the Matrix. Oh, ignorance is bliss. But unfortunately, it's not who I am. I am someone who questions more. I'm someone who connects the dot. I'm someone who stays truly open and embrace the real diversity. And I think for those who believe, do you have a mission in life? I'm start thinking that maybe yes. I want to be surrendered by authentic people with truthfulness, and they just want to be like this, like kind of constructively bold and use radical as a positive way of doing something. And again, so it was a great conversation. And even yesterday I met someone in the 70s, and people freaked out about things like digital identity and you will own nothing and you'll be happy. But when I start having some kind of real estates and purchasing things, and even now, like after my mom passed away, we have stuff, we have material stuff. It's if you don't use it, if your clothes doesn't fit you anymore, like you should get rid of it, give it to someone else. Most of my books, some I kept because it's not because it's dedicated, but some I kept because I would like to rediscover it again. But I used to have a network. We were exchanging book, and when I was finishing, okay, so here's for you. So at some point, that's kind of true that we own nothing, because the Egyptian, the Pharaoh, they will mummify themselves with their goods, like if they will be transcending with them into the possible other worlds. My gosh, guys, how do you actually experience this life? Or are you intentional enough to be in the moment? Okay, the anxiety and fear is because we're always thinking of, oh, what's going to happen next? What about the next month? And yeah, you could plan. Of course, you have to have goals and stuff and put some dates because we are regulated in this dimension about this. But man, this is heavy. This is not agile. Personal agility will require that you let yourself go to exploration a little bit. So 80-20, maybe 20 of kind of plan, and then the planning And a lot of people are, oh, I'm deceived now. We cannot go this and we cannot do that because he canceled it. Yeah, that's life. Life is dynamic like this. So if you don't want to be dynamic, you're stoic, you're gonna be in pain. That's what I'm saying. So the owning things is the same thing. It's funny, like those who talked about the private property and individual rights. Yeah, yes, I'm kind of yes. But could we own something greater than a fucking house and a fucking car that will rot like your body? Do you own your spirit? That might be, because we don't know. Nobody fucking knows what happened when the switch died, when the body gave up. But the body will give up. This phase, right now, March 2022, is not the same phase that I had in April 1977. And when I will watch it, or my grandchildren will watch it, they will say like, oh man, grandpa, where are your teeth? So why are we so much into the ego and we'd like to own things? Huh? The verb to have seems more important than to be. So here's the problem, guys. This is a dichotomy. But again, I'm not saying that I'm all in for the way they propose to do that. You will own nothing and you will be happy, because, and the way it is, the way the World Economic and all of these other think tanks are proposing this, it's clearly for me what I've been saying since I was in college in 1991. Again, 30 years ago, I was telling that. I see people like, capitalists as we know it, after the fall of Soviet Union in 1991, will transform slowly but surely into the socialization of the masses. And when I say that, I'm talking about 95% of us. Even those entrepreneurs, those millionaires, those some kind of early or scale of billionaires and stuff. But those at the very top that don't even count into money. They count into control and sort of power, the 5%, and then it's scaled down to the very top, if there's a very top. Because for me, I think it's family and it's clan that are at war, and what happened at that level happened everywhere. But for sure, the capitalists as we know it for the last 2 centuries has transformed into, we have to socialize the masses, we have to control the masses. And now these projects of big, smart, central planned cities are there. This is true. This is not like fucking science fiction movie. It's there since at least 1977. And you see they iterate and iterate. And we are at a point right now with those innovation, apparently, of artificial intelligence and data mining and data control and data storage and everything, and to automate things, and to give with the digital identity will be an asset, apparently, for those who would like to live in those central plan and control society of those big smart cities. But you have a choice again. If it's imposed to me, or the way maybe I develop my life or my career, some things like maybe, what is happening? Like, I'm not talking about agile coaching into an enterprise or team, but when I do my flat coaching, one of the rebuttal or pushback that I have is, I'm not ready for it. Exactly. I'm not ready to quit my job and go live somewhere else. I'm not ready. So if you're not ready, that's mean that your freedom of choice worth nothing. Because if you don't know why you make that choice, you are powerless. So, all of these things, if I return to radical management, radical agility, the personal agility, the business agility by itself, and the age of imposition we are with, even this very framework that we try to impose into organization with those big consulting firms that are the same consulting firm, not to name them, McKinsey or McKesson, both of them, and maybe BCG too, Boston Consulting Group, I don't know, CGI here in Quebec. So they just want to make money, they want to make a short-term money, and they want to create a dependency on their consulting. So what took us at the Agile Lounge with enterprise of any size, 3 days to 3 months transforming them. And then after, they make sure that they have a continuous mindset of improving among themselves with their reality. So we spark them, and when Elvis leaves the building, they continue doing it. But of course, with those big firms, they make sure that they will be dependent on them, um, instead of creating autonomy to their team. So it's the same thing with those think tanks, such as the Club of Rome, the World Economic Forum, the Council on Foreign Relations. They push ID, they push blue and white papers, and they influence other thinkers, other strategic development. So, we have an agency in Canada here called Horizon Policy Canada. Okay? Search it for yourself. I did a video about this. So they work in what? They work in biometry, they work in digital identity. They have everything in place about governance and privacy statement and implementation. And starting June in Quebec, because Eric Kerr thinks he's so first to do so, but he's not the first. They're following that blueprint built by different organizations, including the forefront of that, which is the World Economic Forum. It's part of the what used to be called Agenda 21, that changed for Horizon 2030. And now we have the Great Reset, which is more detail about how we could actually reorganize society, because they know, and it started with a great economic reset that will influence, of course, that will inform the way we live in society. So they want to do that for a while now, and it's starting to take form, because maybe we are at Sprint 36 and the release coming up by 2025, all the way down. Actually, I think in 2023, a lot of those mystical people who talked about a surrender or an appointment. Yes, I think now we've been forced to make choice very rapidly about our healthcare, but now there will be other choice based on climate, based on our consumption and everything. But how much it will be a choice, because that's worry me again. And the acceptance criteria of it, I want to have choice. I want to have okay, so you propose me to live like this if I stay in Montreal, and if I move into New York, it will be similar thing, but other ways. But could I have a choice? Could I be like a citizen, a real citizen of whatever? Could I apply the nomadism? Right now, it's 17 countries. Before the pandemic, for a digital nomad, we had access to all the way up to 59 countries. Now it shrank to 17 countries. And even though Canada is the only one who will prevent some of us without a medical procedure to leave the country. This is unacceptable. And I don't know how much they could prevent someone to immigrate in that context of you cannot board a plane or to escape if you didn't have a medical procedure. And what's next? It's going to be a green pass. They call it green pass in some countries. Why? Because it's going to be like this carbon tax, or the way you consume, social credit system. So, digital identity, again, do we use Scrum to scale up and help the implementation of the Great Reset? Maybe. Of course, it's iterative, because if it's in your face, you will have a faster pushback. So that was my kind of thought. A bit fuzzy today, because I'm exploring it. So please tell me in the comment below among these subjects, what would you like to explore more about the MetaScrum, also, and more probably practical term of scaling Scrum into an enterprise Scrum type of things. And I didn't talk much about the other guys who propose Radical Agility, so I think I'm going to do another one. And by the way, yes, I know, we are the third Friday. Usually I'm doing it in French, but I was not inspired to come and be with you in French. And I could have done that subject in French. So maybe what I'm going to do is I received a couple of emails. Again, thank you again, Adriana and Joey, for your tips. Thank you for everyone who had already reserved for the Scrum Beer next Thursday, the 24th, here in Montreal in person. And you could also follow the link for Meetup to get the link we have. Actually, it's already available on my YouTube channel. It's already so you just have to hit the bell again, subscribe, hit the bell, and make you click on the video banner. It says please, even if you're not a subscriber, I think you could do that. But yeah, of course, to be logged into YouTube. So you will be alert that we are going live with Daniel Mezik, Suriu, Jim Verkis, and Antonio. Sorry about that, Antonio. Anyways, so 4 amazing people, 4 amazing business agility coach, Scrum giant, to talk about the age of imposition. So this is next Thursday. So maybe, just maybe, next Friday I could do a French thing. Next Friday, very quick at 12, to keep the pace of being live every Friday. Even though that you already have the weekly live with this special event at the Scrum Beer and the open mic that we do. But I might do something in French according to might be a repeat of one of my last episode in English and French for the about 17-20%. And now, guys, I'm at 498. Only 2 of you among the 75% who listen. If you like my ways, if you like my proposition, and again, I'm eager to learn from you as well in the comment below. But subscribe, bring me to 500 now for April. Come on, guys. Only missed 2 or 3 subscribers. So on that, remember, you are a wonderful person. You are a powerful person. You are free to do whatever you want with respect to one another. And you're especially free to be. Yes, aim to be instead of to have and to possess things. To be whoever you want it to be. And here at the Agile Lounge with the FLEP program, Freedom Lifestyles for Entrepreneur, we could help you find your spot and start your journey with 90-day scrums and so many tools to motivate you. On that, beautiful people and powerful people, I wish you an amazing weekend. Stay cool, stay who you are, be authentic, and see you next Thursday at the Scrum Beer. Cheers.